So then, the Court of Appeal judges have ruled that the first deportation flight taking asylum seekers, migrants to Rwanda tomorrow can go ahead. Will anybody be on it? Because in a sense, the ruling is immaterial. On Friday, the government said up to 130 migrants had been told they could be headed for Rwanda. They'd be put on a plane due to leave tomorrow from a secret destination. But by the weekend, the number likely to board that plane, it had fallen from 130 to 37. Legal challenges from organisations including the likes of Care for Calais raised objections, not on a collective basis, but on an individual, person-by-person basis. That tends to take up quite a lot of the court's time. Lawyers argued that by being deported to Rwanda, potential deportees would see their human rights infringed. Others, it was claimed, were victims of human trafficking. By lunchtime today, that 37, it had been whittled down still further. A Home Office source suggested the number was almost down to single figures. 4 Iranians, 2 Iraqis, 2 Albanians, a Syrian, and 2 whose nationality wasn't being made public. The last few days have shown how difficult it'll be for the government to overcome what's become known in America as lawfare, the use of legal activism to undermine the policies of an elected government. Let's turn to the director at the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity, Stephen Woolfe, who joins me now. And helpfully, Stephen, I know in your previous life you were a lawyer, and you've tweeted that you're struck by the fact that in addition to the ruling we've just relayed to people, you said it was important that there was no generic appeal for channel migrant claims. What does that mean?
What it means is that you can't bundle hundreds of channel migrants together in one case and start to claim that the government can't send any of them back at all on principle, i.e. the principle that Rwanda is an unsafe place to be, that they're going to suffer injustice, illness, etc. And it has to be now dealt with. And the Court of Appeal was very clear on this, that it has to be individual cases. Now, there is a good principle on that in the sense that, you know, the government has enabled now to go ahead and start to remove people by planes. But the negative will be, as you said, lawfare will start. You'll start to see hundreds of individual applications for appeal when these people get their letters saying they're going to Rwanda.
Stephen, can you clear something up for us? I don't know if you can, but I see a lot of emails from people asserting, you know, why should these people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, benefit from legal aid? Are any of them eligible for legal aid?
There's no choice, unfortunately. Our membership, by signing the international agreement, the United Nations Convention on Refugees, it makes very clear that any country as a signatory to that has to provide legal advice and legal help for those people who are seeking asylum. And because of our legal system, which enables legal aid to be provided and all the way up to the to the House of Lords, this means that the lawyers can start to claim it. As I heard today, one law firm has made £55 million from representing a trade union who's backing those people who appeal refugee cases.
So might it be that far from creating a fast-track conveyor belt for people who are travelling to the UK as migrants who actually don't particularly need to claim asylum in this country, they could have done so in any of the intervening countries between their point of entry and the UK, might it be that actually, far from speeding them to Rwanda, we're in danger here of creating a ATM for lawyers who work hand in hand, hand in glove with the human rights lobby?
Well, this is already happening, Colin, unfortunately. As you see that in the cases where we have asylum, there are already innumerable appeals that happen every year. So they are making an awful lot of money from the legal aid system. And I can understand when somebody says, I've just been divorced and I can't get legal aid to make an application to have 50-50 custody over my daughter, but I can watch a channel asylum applicant appeal his right to be able to stay. There's an unfairness in the legal aid system. And whilst the government has been cutting legal aid, this is one area they can't, whilst we're a member of the UN Convention. So we have the European Court of Human Rights, which I believe the government must now look at removing ourselves from. And I've always argued that we must have a complete review of our membership of the UN Convention on Human Rights to consider the modern times that we're in.
Final thought. Is there any sense in which the courts themselves and the judicial system will sort this out, will streamline a process. I mean, I really want to, and it's really important, isn't it, that we believe in our legal system. I hate the idea of looking at our legal system as the enemy of the people. I hated all that. We have to entrust in an effective functioning democracy a lot of trust in our legal system, but that trust will start to be corroded if people see migrants who have no legitimate claim to be in this country effectively gaming the system.
I think there is gaming in any legal system, unfortunately, that happens. I watched the case today and I watched the Court of Appeal, and as a lawyer and a former barrister, I would say that they were implicit in the way that they were really careful in going through the law and the claims. And they did an excellent job today. And I think not only Sir Jonathan Swift, who was the judge in the High Court on Friday, in very limited time, reviewed the cases and was able to say that the appeals, give them the appeal, but in meaning that they should allow them to go to Rwanda. Both the cases today were a good situation of showing us how the law works. Immediately the Court of Appeal said that the Rwandans' case is dismissed, you saw an appeal by those representing those refugees and asylum applicants saying, can we appeal to the House of Lords? The Court of Appeal rejected that. But what we now know is Care for Calais and other organisations are going to try and sue ministers. They're going to find another route. And that's where people are going to get upset by. It's the constant use of law to thwart policy, which has been voted in by the public.
Stephen Woolfe, keep us across it. We welcome your expertise. Thanks very much indeed.